Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove in 30 Days of Goddess with a quick flip through of my March prayer book. And I don't feel like I have a lot to say about this particular one. Sometimes I have lots of other thoughts about daily practice, etc. But this one is just a flip through. And I was writing a lot of prayers to Inanna in this particular prayer book, and so I included the Story Goddess Oracle card for Inanna. In the pocket is the monthly practice snapshot card for 30 Days of Goddess, which is accessible via 30daysofgoddess.com, as well as the March Omen Days card that I had created for our Goddess Magic community on Patreon. That is patreon.com/goddessmagic. Made a pocket on the inside with the theme for March and one of the little reminder cards for that. My filled out moon wheel with runes, inspirational runes to inspire me for the month. And I had also glued in the simple and sacred affirmation prayer so that I can repeat that each morning. This is from the Witch's Date book. I have the 2023 Witch's Date book specifically for cutting up. And so I have a tendency to cut or tear out the pages for the month that I'm on and then keep them in the back of the book so I have them ready to use. New card from Effie Wild. I'm doing her Moonshine program this year, and I'm also one of her patrons on Patreon. I still was using quite a bit of I have a Hay House page-a-day calendar, and so I've been using those as background images. Coloring page from Joni Ray of Tales of a Kitchen Witch. I like having the calendar pages to use because they're like perfect for a half-size background. And then another monthly practice card. I've been using those a lot in the last couple of months. This was a coloring page from Amy Cesari of Coloring Book of Shadows. And I actually found it, we were going through the closet and getting rid of some craft supplies, and I found it in there and decided to use it on my page. That's from a calendar or a nature catalog, I think. Nature Conservancy magazine, maybe. Another Effie card. I was taking a Vow of Faithfulness class with Woman Spirit Reclamation in March, and we were talking about different vows, and we were supposed to jot things down that inspired us about the vows we were listening to. And I didn't have anything handy except for the trimmings for my cards that I was cutting up at the same time. So I went ahead and stuck those in the pocket after the class was over because I thought that was kind of appropriate. This was the moon, or I think it was the moon information. Nope. Yes, the full moon information for March from Witch's Date book that I stuck in there. Another calendar image. I had some extra calendars, and I'm using those as backgrounds as well. Some more Effie things. Really working heavily with Inanna, and so that was one of the seals of Inanna that I went ahead and used my little tiny Kodak Step printer, tiny printer, to print out a picture of one of those seals. That was a coloring page from Effie in the background there. Another one of the calendars. I go ahead and make big pockets out of the snapshot cards. Another calendar background. This was a word cloud that Monette from Woman Spirit had made, for our Vow of Faithfulness class, and so I turned that into a sticker. I really like the little sticker printer to be able to do that. These were just cutouts from new pewter pendants from the pewter pendant supplier we use. One of the messy affirmations from Amanda Fall of the Phoenix Soul. I had forgotten to put the full moon card in from Patricia Ballantyne, the Creative Flame Oracle. And so I just went ahead and stuck it in my big pocket. Another messy affirmation from Amanda there. A lot of my pages this month are relatively simple and thematically similar. Though, I mean, this was like a wish paper. This was from some flying wish paper that I had gotten for a co-op class, homeschool co-op class, like about 3 years ago. And I found that when we were cleaning out our craft supplies as well. And so that pops up. So there's not it, but I did use a lot of similar kind of design elements in this little card. Similar design elements this month with the calendar at the top, big pocket at the bottom. Shows up recurrently. Stuff from Effie, stuff from my sticker book. That one has a fold out for Ostara. One of my own prayers there. I create a new prayer card, the tiny little book from the back of the prayer books that you can cut out and assemble. I've stuck that in there. I create a new printable prayer card for the Goddess Magic patrons every week. And so I get those printed at Staples. They run you under $1 per page of color printing from Staples, and I like to have the color to jazz up my pages. This was from Poeta Goddess, and then Effie. This was a card from Amanda Fall, Phoenix Soul, and then I made it into an open up with other messages inside. Let me see, I still want to put that in the front. Oops. There's so many sources for information, and I had noticed I got a lot of, I'm getting kind of too many things piled up again, and I was noticing just a sensation of like having too many things piled up. And so I think that's why I like having kind of a simple or a formula, so to speak, to follow, where I use the calendar page, I use something else, because when there's a few too many things to look through, it can take a long time and start to feel kind of like, oh, I have to sort through all these piles instead of just enjoying the prayer book process. So if you ever start to feel overwhelmed or like it is too much, let something go. Remember that this practice is here to hold, support, nurture, and encourage you, not to tell you what to do or make you feel like you have to do something. So if you're noticing any sense of weightiness or too muchness or heaviness, cut it back, make it simple. And remember that this is about accessing your joy and your magic and making a space for the sacred and for yourself, not about doing it all right or doing the right things. So sometimes I find that I will have a little too much and it means I need to scale back. So I put away a lot of my stuff and kept some simplified what I was doing. That's a nifty sticker from Water of Whimsy, Reagan. I can't remember her last name, Reagan. So I really loved that. And the word for the day was open. So it was a perfect little hagstone representation there. Still using those messy affirmations. Really like that. That's a card from Effie. That was a postcard, Washington, D.C. postcard, cherry blossoms from a friend. Long ago friend from the UU Church who moved a long time ago, but he sends me various little cards. That was a coloring page from Moonshine. I did my vow ceremony and it was so powerful, and so I made little pictures and printed them out here, and so I really like that page. It makes me happy to remember my vow. And then I have pockets with the monthly practice snapshot cards in the back. If you watched my other video about prepping a prayer book, making a space for the goddess in the everyday, I actually opted to put the cards in the front of that book. Oh, I'll just show you. I don't have to tell you about it. I have the cards in the front of that book so that I can easily get to them. And I have my vow in the front so I can renew it and revisit it and reaffirm it every day if I feel like it. And so the books now have the simple and sacred prayer in the back of them. So in the current month, I have not glued down this prayer again. I just turn to the back. I pick my rune out of the pocket. I'll show you that too. I pick my rune out of the pocket that I have for it. I pick my rune out and then I go ahead and turn to the page with the simple and sacred prayer, and I have a morning self-blessing in there. That was another bonus for the Goddess Magic people. And then I just read that prayer aloud as a reaffirmation. I find it, I think I referenced in several videos that I'm kind of experimenting this year with repetition instead of always having everything have to be new. I have a tendency, I don't know if that's part of my somewhat ADHD-ish hyperactive brain, that I always want there to be something new. And that's one of the beauties and the joys of daily practice, is that it almost always holds something new. There's almost always something new, but I'm also considering the power and the magic of reaffirming, recommitting, which also is the power of daily practice. It holds both the opportunity, the invitation into newness, and the invitation into reaffirmation or recommitment, all rolled into one. So no wonder I like this process, the 30 Days of Goddess process, so much, as it fits both of those things really neatly. But what I've been noticing is that sometimes it's useful to have prayers that we return to, practices that we return to, and to reaffirm and recommit and reuse the prayers that speak to something deep within us, and to continue to work with those and deepen into them instead of jumping on into the next thing or doing the next thing. So I have found that a really powerful process. So I've said before, there's the union in daily practice between sacred sameness and infinite experiencing. And that really is at the heart of it to me, or that's part of the deepest magic of it to me, is that it holds space for both sacred sameness and for infinite experiencing. And so we've been doing this now for, 830 days almost. And it's still new every time. It's still new every time. And it represents this container of sacred sameness all together in one. And so that's just really special and powerful. That was from Kelly Lincoln of Dancing Goddesses. And then, since I was working with Inanna, I had an Inanna paper doll from the Dover Goddess Paper Dolls book. And so she accompanied me. She was actually stuck in one of our little card stand, our little wooden oracle card stands, for most of the month. And then I put her in the pocket when I was done. And there was a prayer that I had written for her as well, a couple of them. And so these pockets have now been emptied out, and things have been moved over to April's book. I'm going to go ahead and take out my lovely bookmark prayer beads, which were from Carmen, one of our group moderators. I'm going to go ahead and migrate those on over to my April book as well. I change out there's a little hook on the bottom so I can change out the goddess. So I've changed her out for this one for the spring. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And remember that prompts, prayers, and practices for sacred sameness and infinite experiencing are available for you on 30daysofgoddess.com. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.